Trapped. The Allied forces at bay, May 1940. The German army, a relentless and powerful force, had swept through Belgium and into France. Their advance was swift and brutal, pushing the Allied forces back towards the English Channel. British, French, and Belgian troops found themselves trapped, their backs to the sea. The port of Dunkirk, a small coastal town in France, became their only hope. Surrender seemed inevitable. The situation was dire. The British Expeditionary Force, sent to aid France, was in a perilous position. Their lines of communication were severed and supplies were dwindling. The Germans, emboldened by their victories, pressed their attack. Panic and despair began to set in among the Allied ranks. The fate of hundreds of thousands of soldiers hung in the balance. Dunkirk, once a symbol of hope, now represented their last stand. Amidst the chaos and fear, a glimmer of hope emerged. British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, known for his unwavering resolve, refused to accept defeat. He rallied his nation, vowing to fight on, whatever the cost. Plans for a daring rescue operation were set in motion, a desperate gamble to evacuate the stranded soldiers from the beaches of Dunkirk. Hitler's halt order, a fateful decision. As the Allied forces braced for what seemed like an inevitable annihilation, an unexpected order came from the German High Command. On May 24, 1940, Adolf Hitler, the Führer of Nazi Germany, ordered his panzer divisions to halt their advance on Dunkirk. This decision, a subject of much debate among historians, would have profound consequences for the course of the war. The reasons behind Hitler's halt order remain shrouded in mystery. Some historians believe he feared his tanks were vulnerable in the marshy terrain surrounding Dunkirk. Others speculate he wanted to conserve his armored forces for the upcoming assault on Paris. Whatever the reason, the halt order provided a critical window of opportunity for the Allies. The pause in the German advance gave the British Admiralty precious time to assemble a vast flotilla of ships. Every available vessel, from naval destroyers to fishing boats, was pressed into service. The evacuation, code-named Operation Dynamo, was about to begin, a desperate race against time to save as many soldiers as possible. The Battle of Dunkirk, holding back the enemy. While the evacuation plans were underway, the Allied soldiers trapped in Dunkirk faced a relentless onslaught. German artillery bombarded their positions, while Luftwaffe bombers rained death from above. The beaches, crowded with thousands of men, became a scene of unimaginable carnage. Despite the terrifying conditions, the Allied soldiers fought back with tenacity and courage. They knew their survival depended on holding back the enemy for as long as possible. British, French, and Belgian troops fought side by side, their backs against the wall, determined to sell their lives dearly. The skies above Dunkirk became a swirling aerial battlefield as the Royal Air Force engaged in fierce dogfights with the Luftwaffe. Outnumbered but not outmatched, the RAF pilots displayed extraordinary skill and bravery, protecting the evacuation fleet and providing crucial air cover for the troops on the ground. Section 4. Operation Dynamo, a heroic evacuation. On May 26, 1940, Operation Dynamo, the evacuation of Allied forces from Dunkirk, began. What followed was one of the most remarkable feats of seamanship and courage in military history. A motley flotilla of over 850 vessels, ranging from warships to pleasure craft, converged on the besieged port. As the ships approached the beaches, they were met by a heart-wrenching sight. Thousands upon thousands of soldiers, their uniforms soaked with seawater and despair, waited patiently for their turn to board. The evacuation was a chaotic but remarkably well-organized affair, a testament to the courage and resilience of the British people. Among the vessels that participated in Operation Dynamo were hundreds of civilian boats, crewed by ordinary men and women who risked their lives to save their soldiers. These little ships, as they came to be known, braved enemy fire in treacherous seas, ferrying troops from the beaches to larger vessels waiting offshore. Section 5. Triumph and Tragedy, the Aftermath of Dunkirk. By June 4, 1940, Operation Dynamo had come to an end. Against all odds, over 338,000 Allied soldiers had been rescued from the beaches of Dunkirk. It was a remarkable achievement, a testament to human courage and determination in the face of adversity. However, the evacuation came at a heavy price. The British and French armies were forced to abandon vast quantities of equipment and supplies on the beaches of Dunkirk. Tanks, artillery pieces, vehicles, and mountains of ammunition fell into German hands, significantly weakening the Allied war effort. Despite the losses, the evacuation from Dunkirk was a turning point in the war. It allowed the British Army to live to fight another day, preserving a vital core of trained soldiers who would later form the backbone of the Allied armies that returned to liberate Europe. Section 6. The Dunkirk Spirit.